James Ruzicka at the popcorn counter. Do you hear that song?
Is that Andres Lorente?
Yes.
At the popcorn counter. which I've been listening to my noise-cancelling headphones so loud, I've gone a little bit deaf.
Take them off for a moment, because you're going to hear
song.
this.
What is the song?
Bum, bum, ba, bum, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, bum.
Is that the French national anthem?
Bum, bum, ba, bum, bum, ba, bum. Boom, boom, boom. No.
Is it the red flag?
No,
is it the what's the Communist Party?
No, oh God,
song?
God, no communists here. That's "Hail to the President," isn't it?
Oh, I see.
Maybe I can bring it up on the computer and see if that's what it is. What's the Hail song to the President? I think it's called.
Is it "Hail to the Chief"?
Hail to the Chief. Oh.
Isn't that the song that Radiohead turned into "Hail to the Thief"?
Hail to the Chief. You're right. Oh, here we go.
Are we heading for a copyright strike?
Well, that's a lot of da-da-da-da-da-da's. Here we go. Have we ever done that on the pod? Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear anything. Have we ever had a pregnant silence on the pod? Yeah, we've done that loads. Yeah.
I put my headphones to the microphone. I thought that was audible.
That's just how you make feedback, isn't it?
Oh, really? Oh, shall I try it again? Or... Anyway, there was a song called "Hail to the Chief," and we just kind of heard it. I can't believe you didn't hear it.
I didn't hear a thing.
Are you really? Oh,
yeah.
Maybe it was in my imagination. Maybe
after we finish recording, I've got to go and vote. Because it's mayoral elections next week.
Oh my!
In London, and I think that I believe there are some elections coming up in your country soon. Am I not right?
Ugh, yeah. I mean, one thing I hate about this country is we have this endless election season. Don't you guys call elections and then it's like 6 weeks before?
Yeah, something like that, or 3 weeks or something. I mean, it happens really quick. Yes,
that's the way it should be. See, in the United States, it's all just a business. So many people make money off of advertising and campaigning that it's an industry. It's just so awful.
We have mayoral elections, and we know when they're going to come up. So they come up like every 4 years. Okay. We did have like a big leaflet through the door where every candidate is allowed to print their opinions over 2 pages. Oh. And an awful lot of the candidates were saying, "I'm going to reduce woke policies. See the end of woke in London. No more wokeness."
Yeah.
Which is tremendously dismal. I'm very self-conscious about voting for the London mayor because I remember that it was Boris Johnson's route to becoming the UK Prime Minister.
That's right. Yeah.
So I feel like we should take this London mayor role very, very seriously because look what happened last time.
Yeah. Do you vote person or do you vote party? It's party, isn't it?
No, for the mayor, it's person.
Oh, it is person.
Yeah. So for the president, it's person, isn't it?
For the president, it's person, yes. Everything's person. It's never party here. And I think that's a big mistake.
I mean, the mayor of London basically never, ever turns up in movies, ever. And the UK Prime Minister very rarely turns up in movies unless it's Winston Churchill.
Yes,
he's been in lots of movies, but otherwise, there was a Thatcher biopic with Meryl Streep, wasn't there? But otherwise, it's the UK Prime Minister is not a cinematic figure. But
wait a second, Hugh Grant.
What?
Hello, Love Actually, the best Prime Minister ever.
But not the best film ever. I have erased that film from my memory. I've done my best. But I was wondering, so if instead of Trump v. Biden, you were allowed to write in the name of a movie president.
Oh, yeah.
Who do you think would get the vote? Because God knows there have been a lot of movie presidents on screen. Lots. I mean, some of them real presidents.
Yeah.
Some of them just made up presidents.
Oh, boy.
I have my favorites.
You came at me with a tough angle. I had most of these presidents that I've written down I don't like.
Is that you would prefer to just cross them off the ballot? It's like it's an election of elimination.
Well, the first one I'm going to mention is unbelievable. It's Nick Nolte playing Thomas Jefferson in Paris. I don't know if you remember that film.
I haven't seen that. Isn't that a Merchant Ivory picture?
It is. And
I have not seen that.
He feels just grossly miscast, but it's lovely to watch. So I would vote for Nick Nolte anytime. I think at the very least it would be interesting.
That's what my mother used to call everything that was bad.
Exactly, and I still do that. It would be interesting. How about yourself? If you could vote.
I would top of my list.
Yeah.
It would be Bill Pullman, I think.
Oh yeah.
From Independence Day.
Yeah.
At least, I think he would be top of my list insofar as he is a great president in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you come out of that movie thinking, yeah, that guy should be president. He's awesome. But then Independence Day was released in 1996, and in like 2000 or beginning of 2001, George W. Bush became president, very, very closely modelled, I reckon, on Bill Pullman in Independence Day.
Yeah.
There's this kind of weird thing that seems to happen more in US politics than anywhere else, where I don't know whether it's because Reagan became president, but there's this notion that somehow cinematic presidents seed the notion, so they are the precursors of the real presidents that will then just copy them.
Yeah.
Because not only was W kind of modelled on Bill Pullman, and he was appearing wearing a flight suit and all but shooting the alien ship down himself, but then also I'm sure that Obama in part modelled himself, or at least gained something from President Palmer in 24.
Some of the cool strength, perhaps, something like that.
Yeah, well, yes, exactly. I don't know whether that character then just because the notion of having a black president in a television series in 2001 seemed sort of crazy and outlandish.
Yeah,
and tremendously sort of forward thinking and progressive. And yet it was only 7 years later, I think, then that Obama was the real president. Yeah. So, sometimes this notion of the cinematic president becoming real gives you something good.
Yeah.
Not always, though.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I can't decide if I want to go back to W or Bill Clinton. You've led with W, kind of. I'm going to go back to W. Did you ever see Veep, which is an Adam McKay film, really about Dick Cheney, the vice president, who was probably really calling the shots? But Sam Rockwell plays George W. Bush in that, and he's brilliant. It's wonderful.
Oh, that is great casting.
Yeah, it was brilliant. He looked enough like him that it was totally viable, but he just had this fantastic accent. He had the swagger, the Texan thing going very well, and also kind of the idiocy. He played the village idiot a little bit very well. So I think that's just a great portrayal, and I like that. And not that, people would say, oh, he was the kind of president you'd want to sit and have a beer with. No, for me, he was not. But, he had that, Rockwell captured that folksiness that I think did appeal to a lot of Americans.
There are some actors who are kind of, born to play the American president, in the same way that there are some American presidential candidates who look like they are actors who were born to play the American president. Yeah. That's what Mitt Romney always looked like, someone who was an actor training to become, portray the president of the United States rather than a real politician. So some actors end up playing the president more than once. There's Martin Sheen was going to be my suggestion, because so Martin Sheen, am I not right? Martin Sheen was the president in The West Wing.
Yes, correct. Yep.
So this is probably the role that most people know him for the most, I guess. I don't know. He's in people's living rooms on a weekly basis. Yeah. But in 1983, Martin Sheen was also the president in Dead Zone, the David Cronenberg film.
I don't think I saw that.
So he plays like a third party candidate for president. And Christopher Walken is the guy who has the gift of second sight. He can touch somebody and see their future. Oh. And Christopher Walken touches Martin Sheen, and he has this flash forward of Martin Sheen becoming the US president and then launching nukes on Russia and ending the whole world.
Oh, wow.
And so, this is like basically the basis of the whole third act of Dead Zone, that Walken realizes he's the only person who knows how dangerous Martin Sheen is, so he shoots him. But even better than that, the climax of this film is brilliant, because Walken tries to shoot Martin Sheen. He misses, but Martin Sheen's character is so spooked by someone shooting him that he picks up a baby to use as a human shield.
Oh, my God.
And it's the photographs of him using a baby as a human shield that then ends up ending his candidacy.
Wow.
Great climax to a film. Oh, well done. It's another one of those films where they wrap it up in about 15 seconds after the final denouement. It's kind of, Martin Sheen picks up the baby. That's the end of the film. So he's played a good president and a not good president.
A good president. Nice. I'll have to see that now. That's Dead Zone.
That's Dead Zone, yeah,
Okay.
1983.
I'll go back to Bill Clinton because early 2000s, it must have been, and maybe even earlier than that. John Travolta did a really good job doing Bill Clinton. It was just very believable. Not that I'm a big Travolta fan, but in Primary Colors, he does an admirable job of again getting that folksiness. I guess a lot of successful presidents were folksy, and I guess maybe people see that in Donald Trump too, which is ironic because he is not really folksy. He's elite, wealthy, very private, very.
Is he not the kind of guy that most Americans would like to sit down and have a Diet Coke with?
No. First of all, I'm never going to drink a Diet Coke. That's disgusting. And I'm certainly not going to do it with former President Trump. No way. But John Travolta does the Clinton really well. So again, it's believable. It looks passingly like him. Not very good, but that's a great performance for him. An actor who, other than like Pulp Fiction and Saturday Night Live, I don't know that I liked anything he's done. But
Saturday Night Fever, isn't it? Not Saturday Night Live. But maybe he's also done Saturday Night Live. Maybe if he'd done Saturday Night Live, you would have enjoyed it more than Saturday Night Fever.
I'm going Googling. I'm going to Google that one.
I suspect it's one of those Googles where autocomplete will flummox.
Does he play Bill Clinton on Saturday Night Live? I guess that would be the perfect saving grace for me here. But what about you? Other presidents?
Other presidents. There is at least one president that we have covered on the pod. We have at least one presidential film that I wrote down on my list, which is Dr. Strangelove.
Oh.
Peter Sellers appears as the bumbling, barely competent president in Dr. Strangelove. Yeah. And he as another actor, I will put down as playing the president twice. I think he's played fictional president twice, insofar as his final film, Being There.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of heavily implies that after the end of the film, his character will become a candidate for the presidency.
Yeah.
Even though we don't see it happen on screen, I think that is the intention of the satire, that it is going there. That is like the ultimate punchline. In both cases, he is a fairly disastrous president of the USA, but both times very watchable.
Yeah.
Very funny. Very disastrous.
We have briefly covered a president on screen not so long ago. In Birth of a Nation, we see a Lincoln, an Abraham Lincoln, who's really made to seem like a goofball because he was anti-slavery. And that made me laugh quite a bit. But Lincoln, Steven Spielberg film.
Oh, yes, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis. It's just, I appreciate the performance. Didn't like the film very much, but Daniel Day-Lewis is just such a great actor. And when you talk about an actor being made for a part, he kind of was. He definitely pulls off a wonderful resemblance to him. It's a funny film, though. I went to see that with 3 other people, and the 2 of us who actually stayed awake the whole time didn't like it. And the 2 who fell asleep said, "Oh, it's a great film." And I thought, okay, so I was supposed to fall asleep, and I didn't. And that's why I didn't like it.
I love that film because it cured my insomnia.
Exactly.
Lincoln might possibly be the most commonly portrayed president on screen, I think. But you have not come up with his finest portrayal on screen. For my money, Lincoln's finest moment on screen, finer even than was Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which I haven't seen. I must get to see that sometime. But better even than that is the appearance of Abraham Lincoln in 1989's Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh God, great film!
I think if you haven't seen Abraham Lincoln hanging around a mall in Los Angeles, then you haven't seen the real Lincoln.
And who played him in that? Do we know the actor there?
I didn't write it down, and I rather suspect the actor didn't get any lines at all. He was just required to look stern and wear a hat. Yeah.
It's a great gig.
I tell you who is the one cinematic president that we probably deserve, the one man who is a more realistic portrayal of the man who deserves to lead the free world than any other, is Terry Crews in Idiocracy. Have you seen that?
Oh, I have not. No, we got to write that one down.
Where the kind of the crux of the story is that is it Owen Wilson or Luke Wilson, I think.
Okay.
Falls asleep in some kind of cryo chamber and wakes up in 100 years' time, and he's this completely ordinary blue collar normal guy, and he is now the most intelligent man in all of America. And the president by then is Terry Crews, who is like a retired wrestler.
Yeah.
Who's kind of made his fortune by selling energy drinks, something like that. He's called, is it President Camacho? I think. And he brings double Uzis to to Congress. Well, I mean, it's utterly ludicrous, and all of the characters are incredibly stupid. But every year that passes, I feel like Idiocracy becomes more and more prescient. Eventually, that film will just turn into a documentary, I think.
Yes. Oh boy, sadly so. Idiocracy. Who made that film? Do we know?
Oh, I'm going to have to look that up. I can't remember. I'm going to look that up.
Okay. While you're doing that, I'll mention my last president.
Mike Judge.
Mike
Judge.
Yeah, okay,
Mike
that makes
Judge,
sense. That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. I should see that then. I was just going to mention lastly, Anthony Hopkins plays John Quincy Adams in Amistad, another Spielberg film. Ugh, I'm not even a Spielberg fan by any means, but he's good because he's actually not the president. I think he retired, and then I think he represented Massachusetts after that. So he went back and he took on a lower level job in government. I mean, it's still a pretty big deal, but I think that's what the scenario was there. And then he ends up being the lawyer for the slaves aboard this ship that goes down or gets sidetracked, called the Amistad, that arrives in the United States ultimately. And just a good performance. It's early 1800s, so it's a pretty good period piece in that way. And then I think Hopkins has that gravitas, right? He's done all these kind of roles that are some creepy if you think about Hannibal Lecter and all that, but he just brings a gravitas to the character, which is really feels accurate. I mean, the 1800s feels more civilized, whether it is or not. As an era, it might have been just as bad as these days here, but I think he brings it some seriousness, and he does a great job in that film. And it's a lawyer film. It's one of the courtroom drama type things that we've talked about not too long ago. But it would be impressive imagining a president going back and not only being a representative where he was a president before, but also being a lawyer again, and kind of he commands respect. And I think that's basically what Tony Hopkins does in films too, so he does a good job in that film.
It's funny that he commands respect, but his most famous role is Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah. Well, that's a different kind of respect, right?
Different kind of respect. Yep.
Stay away from him.
I have one last president.
Okay.
One last cinematic president on my list, but I am convinced that if the actor who played this president ran for the actual presidency, it will be a landslide. It will be handed to him on a plate.
Oh, good.
Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure he would win the popular vote. The president in question is FDR.
Ooh.
Can you think of the actor that I'm thinking of here who would walk into the presidency?
Is it an old film? A very old film?
No, 2012.
Oh, 2012.
I'm going to put you out of your misery. It's Bill Murray.
Oh.
Who plays FDR in Hyde Park on Hudson.
Oh.
And whatever you might think about the film.
Yeah.
And whatever you may think about Bill Murray.
Yeah.
And I think he's still a questionable character. But I reckon if you put Bill Murray's name on the ticket, it would be difficult to run against him.
Yes, that is true.
What does that say about democracy? I'm not entirely sure.
Well, honestly, he'd probably be better than the options right now. So I think I'd probably take it. I'd probably take a Murray presidency.
You're right, he probably would be better than it. Well, there you go, Bill Murray for president.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he was. I thought that film was about Teddy Roosevelt, but it is. It's about Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Oh. I've never seen that. Have you seen it? Comedy romance?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
We should have established by now. This is the podcast where we talk about films that we haven't seen. You must remember that.
I've seen all the films that I just talked about. That was one of my criteria.
If Bill Murray ran for president,
Yeah.
I mean, all you need to do is do some advertising where he'll tell people who you're going to call. I mean, you know, he just walks straight into it. Who are you going to call?
Or I would love it. I love the lounge singer, Bill Murray. So it'd be great if he could just sing songs to communicate his policies.
If there's one president to unite us all, it's maybe kind of Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Is it the president we deserve rather than the president that we want?
I like your ideas. This is opening up possibilities. Yeah.
But then, ideas are where the problems start.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we need to go and see a film about stuntmen before we start a civil war.
Let's do that. Let the fall begin.